Welcome to Fitness Freedom. In honor of Pride Month, I am sharing about coming out, the journey of coming out, and the journey of coming home. And I broke it down into different stages based on my own life experience. I'm sure if you are queer, you can relate to some, if not all of these elements that I'm going to share. And I want to bring it home towards the end with how this relates to change, how this relates to health, and give you a really compelling invitation at the end. But June 2026, this is Pride Month. So I'm just going to share pretty vulnerably my history and my story while not giving too many personal details from other people about what it was like for me. And of course, everyone has different backgrounds and you have your own unique story, which is beautiful. And I would love to hear it if you want to share. It can be very healing and helpful to put it into written form and just be able to express it and share it with someone. So if that's you, you might think as you're listening to this episode of what you might want to share with someone else or how you might want to frame your own story. One of the most powerful things that we have is our story, our narrative, and shaping it in a way that's supportive and empowering to us. So I have it broken down into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different stages. And there might be some overlap with some of them, but here we go. Coming out and coming home. My journey. So the knowing before, I put this as the really early stages. A lot of us have, I like when you're with queer people, you might ask, like, when did you first know you were gay? Or did you know before you came out? And from my experience, a lot of people know before they come out, and some people choose to come out immediately. Some people wait till later. There's often a fear of coming out, and I am a millennial, so my experiences are different. The time I grew up, people were not very accepting of homosexuality. I was introduced to the real world for the first time just a few weeks ago by my girlfriend, who said she watched it as a teenager, and I couldn't believe that I had never watched it because it's like the OG of reality TV, which I love. I love reality TV. And I was like, what's the competition? What's the prize? And she's like, there's no prize. It's just showing people from different walks of life living in a single space. So we watched some episodes from the early 2000s, and it was pretty jarring to see how non-mainstream homosexuality was at that time. So this is the environment I grew up in. I know it's more accepted nowadays than it was before, which is awesome. There's progress, but the knowing before, everyone has different experiences. But for me, I wouldn't say that I explicitly knew that I was gay. There was no like, yes, I'm attracted to women and I know it and I'm gay and I'm just going to hide this secret for the rest of my childhood. There was nothing like that. I think I was so disconnected from myself. And because of the environment I grew up in, which was very religious, I was taught that homosexuals were just these evil people, which is funny to think about now. And if you were gay, you were automatically going to hell. So if that's your framework, your frame of reference for homosexuality, of course it's scary. So I just didn't even allow myself to entertain that idea when I was a child. But looking back, if you even just see pictures of me as a little kid, I'm obviously like a little queer kid, which is so cute. But looking back, I was attracted to women. I'm also attracted to men. So there's some confusion there, perhaps, as a pansexual. But I was attracted to women and I was more drawn to women always in my life, role models, friends, whereas my younger sister was boy crazy and loved having a boyfriend and like, oh, boys, boys, boys. I couldn't relate to that. But I think there was something in me that knew I was different. And that rang true in my body. Something in me was different from my sisters, different from my family, different from other people I was surrounded by. So I could feel that there was something different, but at the same time, I knew that there was something wrong with it. So I loved quote unquote boys' toys. I loved cars and Lego, and I loved pocket knives and playing outside with the boys. I liked being kind of rough. I liked stuff related to the military. My dad was in the army, so I was like obsessed with MREs and BDUs and having lots of pockets and like survival stuff as a little kid. So there were lots of signs, but I think my parents even knew, especially my mom, and I think it terrified her. So it was just a huge no. And so I suppressed that. And it was easy, like I've heard from experiences from other people, it was easy to say no to dating. It was easy to say no to boys. And I thought that I was spiritually superior because I couldn't understand how teenagers could be tempted uh, to flirt or be with other people, like have sex before marriage. I couldn't relate to that desire. One, because of course I was very suppressed. Two, because I was obsessed with my eating disorder and that took over my teenage years. And then three, and most blatantly, I just wasn't feeling that strong attraction to boys. So there was this knowing before. And then as I grew older and got out of my small religious bubble after college, it wasn't until like 21 years old that I left that world and started going out and teaching English in Korea and trying new things and wearing pants again and being independent and exploring myself. That came first. And then at some point during my early 20s, my mid early 20s, a good friend came out to me. And this was someone that I really enjoyed. She's the coolest person, like just in all definitions of the word, just a cool person. We bonded during our time in Korea, in Daegu, and she came out to me. And instead of being like, that's wrong, you shouldn't be that way, I was just so genuinely happy for her. Like something about her, it was over Skype that she came out to me because this is like early 2010s. And I just remember lighting up, like something that was dormant in me came alive. So the proof was the next stage. It's like I saw myself in someone else. And that started my own questioning of maybe, am I attracted to women? Am I this way? Like I can relate to this friend in so many ways, and she's so cool and she's gay. Like it started me asking myself this question, and not in the bubble I grew up in. I was able to be more honest because it wasn't an immediate, oh, I'm just going to go to hell. My beliefs had changed since then. I was starting to question the beliefs I grew up in. And then I had my first like explicit attraction to another woman. And that was an experience where I realized, oh, this is what all the love songs are about. This is what they mean when they say they're in love. I thought I had experienced this and I thought I was just like different and it was like not for me. And then now I'm having all of these feels. So I not only had that proof outside of me, I had the proof in my own experience. And I let myself feel that without hiding away. And then comes the next part, the searching. The searching. So the knowing before, the proof, and the searching. And this is when I had to really dig deep. It felt like all the pillars during this time, it felt like all the pillars that I had built my life upon just crumbled. Everything that I thought to be true wasn't lining up with my experience. So it was just like my world, my inner world, and all those belief systems that I had held to my whole life just fell apart. And I remember for about a summer, almost a year, half a year, I just did a lot of searching. Like, can I do this? Is this what I want to do? I saw two paths before me. One was I figure out a way to suppress this and continue on the path that I was born into and just kind of hide it. Maybe make some big sacrifices of what I want to be quote unquote normal and live according to how I was taught, which is you can't be gay, homosexuality is a sin. And that way felt a little bit safe. Like I knew what that would look like. But then the other path in front of me was authenticity. I felt this strong sense of living out my truth. So I saw those two paths. And at that time, I was still in Christianity. And so I spent a lot of time researching through books and information. Podcasts weren't as popular then. But I remember ordering books from Amazon, written by scholars about how homosexuality isn't actually a sin according to the Bible. And I read all of these arguments and counter arguments and really just tried to basically justify it in my mind to feel like it would be okay. So I was forced with this question. I remember it was that summer, it was in between my grad school in England, and then before I started a new job in Korea teaching English, and I was also having to figure out some big life stuff and had a dissertation to write. And I just remember going on runs a lot. I remember it being hot. I remember sitting in my little patio room and just sitting there and thinking of these questions. And I couldn't not choose the path of authenticity. And I would figure out any way of justification that it took to my mind at that time to follow it. Because it felt like if I were to not make that choice, I would be trying to wrestle with and cover up this huge light inside of me, because I could feel the truth of who I was more vibrant and bright than what I knew in my head to be right. And I knew, just based on my limited experience of trusting myself, that that's what I had to do. So then comes the next stage, the knowing before, the proof, the searching, and then the coming out. So this was not just one and done. This was coming out to my best friend at the time. And she was so encouraging. She hadn't grown up in a Christian home like I had. Of course, she was not anti-gay. And she was so encouraging. And then another friend who was in the Christian world, but also was a liberal supporter of gay rights. And then another friend who was a little more conservative, but had good common sense to say, Michelle, like, you'll be loved no matter what. And slowly I started coming out and expressing this part of myself, being open to meeting women, being open to exploring this part of me in a fun way, not telling everyone at first, but telling some people. And thankfully, I was in an environment where I could explore this a little bit without as many direct consequences. Telling people, that men that I had dated before, that I was gay, and dealing with that. Um, and then I met I met someone who would become my partner for uh, almost a decade. And that was another path of this is so real and so good and so just aligned with who I am that there's no way I can put this back into this small box that I came from. I can't wrap this all up and squeeze it into this box. Like it's there, it's alive, it's big, and I can't hide it. And being with her and wanting to have this serious partnership with her led me to making bigger statements about coming out. So I don't remember exactly what I did on Facebook, but it was obvious that I was gay and in a relationship with a woman. And mind you, like now I don't feel any shame at all about it, but then it was like joy combined with fear. There was so much joy in what I was experiencing, but there was also so much fear of and cognitive like reframes of, whoa, I am gay. I am with a woman in a romantic relationship. And it's like kind of getting my brain used to that. And I just remember getting a lot of messages and comments from people in my community, from my college, from my grad school, from people I grew up with about like, hey, Michelle, I'm praying for you. You know, I hope you come back to the Lord. Those are the worst. No, nothing about, I'm glad that you're happy and you found yourself. It was all, I can't believe you're gay. I can't believe you're a lesbian. Like such like a disgust from people. And then like that ensuing pity of, oh, I'm praying for you. And you were such a great person. Because I was a good Christian girl. Like, oh, you were such a good Christian. I'm sorry that like, it's so sad to see you straying from the Lord, et cetera, et cetera. Like those were the worst. Blech. I also came out to my family and there were mixed reactions there, mostly negative, to be honest. And that just takes me to the next stage, which is the consequences. And I couldn't think of a better word for consequences because consequences is normally just negative and it's not always the case. And there wasn't always the case for me either. But the results of coming out and having to deal with that. And that's a different stage. The consequences. So accepting rejection from people that were the closest to me, accepting rejection from communities. I was attending a church then, and it was a more liberal church, but still there was mixed views about homosexuality, and a lot of people were on the side of it's a sin, we'll still love the sinner, but it's a sin. Whereas how I grew up was it's a sin and we're not going to make fellowship with you. And I now at this point in my life, I kind of prefer the former of we're just not going to talk with you rather than the kind of in between where we're going to pray for your soul and we'll quote unquote love you. But we actually completely disagree inherently with who you are. And then not just the negatives, but when you come out, you know who your people aren't, you discover who your people are not, and you discover who your people are. And warning, I don't know, I might cry talking about this. I'm trying not to cry. I'm trying to stay in the narrative, but you really see the people who accept you for who you are. And it was such a stark difference from the Christian world that I grew up in. And then just people that I had not known for that long, that I had made friends with, who were overwhelmingly accepting without any question. And that was not something I was used to. But even people that I don't really talk with to right now that aren't active in my life, I can remember their faces. I can remember their names. I can remember their support, and it just felt so good to be validated. And not most of them actually weren't queer. They were straight, and they just loved the love that I had, and they saw it for what it was. And being able to see that from others and receive that from others was such a gift, and that was so healing. So there was almost a sense of realizing who was not on my side, so to speak, and who didn't love me unconditionally, and then the people who did. And then the next stage is the changes. So the knowing before, the proof, the searching, the coming out, the consequences, and then the changes. Um, Along with coming out, my life changed. Who I stayed in contact with, how I was perceived by others, changed. So I developed a deeper relationship with my partner at the time, with the friends in my life at the time. And it, for better or for worse, there was a sense of these people are safe, these people are not safe. And I'm going to choose the people that are safe. And that was kind of a mind fuck, because the people that I thought should be safe were not, and the people that I thought should be unsafe, at least according to how I grew up, and the lost souls that needed to be saved, they were the safe ones. They were the ones who were actually supporting me. And along with the changes was like a new way of being seen in the world. So I could no longer always hide behind straight presenting or quote unquote normal. And in Korea, especially at the time, there's been some progress, but in Korea, like gay people aren't really out. You might see some celebrities on TV that are obviously gay, but most of them, there might be there might have been one or two at the time who were explicitly out, and it was kind of, accepted somewhat, kind of like a side hug. But in Korea, it was not okay to be out. So it would be a radical view, a radical sight to see men holding hands or women holding hands. And I was always the woman holding hands. And you didn't really see men holding hands, although they were definitely keeping busy in the bathhouses. So it was a new way of being seen. I remember one time my partner and I, we wanted to go to see a movie, and they had some special like couple booths at the top. You paid a little bit more because you're at the way top, and it's like a couch where there's no separation between you two. So you could just like, be close with your partner physically and not be seen, et cetera, et cetera. And we tried to get a ticket for that. And the woman at the booth said, no, this is only for couples. It's not for friends. And I remember that hurt. Like I took that really hard. And I know it could have been worse, but there were lots of micro traumas related to it. But I just had to start embodying, not just for myself and my journey, but to the world, my new identity, and not just friends and family and community, but strangers in the world I was in. I remember holding my partner's hand and it feeling very brave. We would have to look around, see if we knew anyone, like coworkers. And it always felt like this huge act to just hold each other's hands, which is sad, but I'm proud of myself. So there were new changes coming. And then the next stage is, I have four more stages, the ownership. And of course, this is a process, but it went from majority being pain associated with coming out and hardship and rejection and a whole new way of being, and all the emotional energy, mental energy, physical energy that is required for that. And it became more of my identity. So I started to identify more with being gay. And with that came more protectiveness. There was a time where I was just very angry, angry at the way I grew up, angry at homophobia. There was a protective part that came out strong during this stage where if someone was gonna like say something against me, I would speak out. Whereas before I was just scared, like, you're right, there must be something wrong. And my partner at the time was really good at speaking out and having quick quips. Like one dude in New Zealand, we were like at this harvest party. We worked as vineyard workers in New Zealand, and this, I'll, yeah, just straight white dude just comes up and he's like, "Oh, it's such a pity. It's such a waste that you're a lesbian." Like he said that to me and my partner. My eyes are just like big in disgust. Are wide in disgust. Yeah, and I think she said something back to him that was pretty good. I don't remember, but it started to be like, this is who I am, and I'm going to protect it. So the ownership, like, okay. And then next came the settling in. And this took years of continual identification, less of a need to like come out to people. Do you remember that? Maybe some of you know that, like when you felt like, should I come out to this person? Do I come out? And it was like a decision every time you met someone new. Is this person safe? Can I come out to them? And the settling in stage required less of that, where it was just like, you're going to find out eventually. I don't need to explicitly come out. Or if I did, I would just mention my partner with she pronouns, or talk about how I liked women or something very casual. So it was like this settling in where it went into a deeper level of my identity and myself. And this was a long process. And so I've been out for, let's see, it's 2026. I came out to my family and kind of in a big way in like late 2013, early 2014. So it's been over 12 years of being out. And it took a lot of time to just settle in and have more experience, more positive experiences of coming out, where it felt like, okay, it's the majority of the times that I come out, it's safe. I'm safe to be me. And I was better at knowing when and who and where was more safe than others. And then I love being queer so much. The next stage is the knowing. And this is just the stage of, oh, this is who I am. Like, this is who I am. And I have experience, I have history, I have background to bolster this part of me. I've spent like a third of my life being out, when before that, for the most part, I didn't even know I was queer. So I've been out for a while. This is who I am. Like, this is a huge part of my life. This is a huge part of my identity, so much so that I don't even think about it. Like, I don't even have to be like, oh yeah, I'm gay and I have to talk with these people and these people. It's just, hi, I'm gay. Hi, gays. Hi, I'm queer. and and then it brings me, so this is who I am. And I will say, coming to Madison, Wisconsin, about 5 years ago, really supported this. And this is one reason why I love Madison and why I've chosen to stay so long, is because it's so queer. It's almost like, it's weird if you don't see queer people. Of course, it could be queerer, but it's just so accepting. And I've been in places where it's not, or I've had to hide things for my safety. And this is not one of those places. So it's easier to just own it and be proud of it. So the stages, the knowing before, when I was little, the proof, seeing it outside of myself with my friend coming out, and then seeing it in myself when I experienced the quote unquote falling in love for the first time, the searching and deciding like, hey, is this the path I take? The coming out and all the fear associated with that, the bravery required to do that. I think someone asked me, what is the scariest thing you've ever had to do? And pretty much immediately I said, come out to my parents. That was the scariest thing. I still remember the fear and shakiness of talking with them on the phone, and for good reason, because of the consequences. That's the next stage. Accepting rejection, but also accepting allies in my life, and people who really accepted me as I am. The changes of being in new relationships, being with a woman and getting to decide, okay, we don't have these gender pre pre cut out gender roles. So we get to decide how we want to be in this relationship, which was so refreshing. And then new ways of being seen in the world, holding my partner's hand, the ownership and starting to own that identity, that like, this is who I am. And then the long process of settling into it. It was a process. Then eventually just knowing this is who I am unapologetically. And then the last stage, and this is beautiful, this is where I might cry, is the pride. And I define this as I wouldn't have it any other way. This is the pride of I'm so grateful to be queer. In the beginning, it was such a scary thing, especially in my world. And psychologically, if you are putting yourself at risk of losing connection with the people who are closest to you, that absolutely is valid reason for fear. But now looking back and having gone through this process, I wouldn't have it any other way. And I am so fucking grateful to be gay, to be queer, to be the person I am. And I know we have like categories, but ultimately, I'm just me. I'm just me. And I'm so proud of myself, not just for who I inherently am, but all the ways that I've had to choose that expression, all the ways that I've had to say no to what was not helpful for me, all the things that I've given up, and then all the things that I've gained. And today I'm with the best partner I could ever ask for. And she's amazing in every single way. And I couldn't enjoy this. I couldn't experience this if I had long ago in that place of the choice, the coming out and the searching stages. I wouldn't have it. This beautiful relationship and the family that I've gained, chosen family, like my friends, most of my friends are queer. I live in a queer community. I'm with people who accept me for who I am, no question. I wouldn't have that if I hadn't made those choices for myself to be authentic, to be me. I'm so proud to be gay. I love being queer. And honestly, no shade to anyone, no hate to anyone. I'm so glad to not be straight. I'm so proud and grateful to be queer. I wouldn't have it any other way. And that's what feels like pride to me. There's no fear. There's no fear of judgment. I just know who my safe people are and who are not. And if you don't like it, that's okay. That's fine. It doesn't change who I am and it doesn't change my life choices. I love me and I'm so proud of me and exactly who I am and all the experiences I've had up until this point. And I want to relate this to coming home and how this relates to change. A lot of the time, I just sent out an email to my subscribers about how, and I just had a conversation with a client about how most, with a hero in the 4-H method, how most programs start with, like fitness programs, they start with exercise and diet. And these are the things you need to do. And these are the things that you need to change. And then people get excited, they're enthusiastic for new changes, they get on board, they're doing all the things, and then life stressors happen, family responsibilities, motivation wanes, and then they feel like they're back to square one, except now they have the added guilt, the added sense of failure, the added, I should have tried harder. If I would have stuck with it, I could have continued to see results. And then they don't blame the program or the workouts or the diets, they blame themselves. And I just want to highlight, it's been my whole life to get to this point of pride. Change happens slowly. It's a process. And more importantly, more deeply than a process of steps to follow, if you can see from my story, it's an identity change. It's being able to see where the beliefs in your life are fucked up, so to speak, and being willing to reject those beliefs, even if they're beliefs that you've held on to all your life. Like, I have to lose weight to be healthy, or I have to be skinny or look a certain way to be accepted, or the only way that I'm going to see change is if I'm really hard on myself, or I need to be attractive to be valuable. Even if those even if those beliefs feel so true, it's willing to choose a different path of authenticity, because health is not you. And I really want you to get this. Just like the story of coming out, health is not you fitting into a box. It's not trying to squeeze everything that you are and try to fit it into this little box and then like sit on the lid so it will close. That's not health. Health is not following a specific template and program so you can get XY result. That's not health. Health is becoming more of, of who you are. Health is becoming more of who you already are. And the truth is that you are already worthy. You are worthy. Like, you can't get any more worthy. I'm as worthy now as when I was this confused, scared, hurt girl who just came out and had no idea how to move forward in her life because I didn't have that template. As worthy as I was when I was a little girl who didn't know that I was queer and just always wanted to ask my dad for the boy toy in the McDonald's drive-thru for the Happy Meal. And I'm as worthy as I am now as I'm going to be in 20 years when I have a lot more wisdom and my bones are and muscles and skin is older. You are already worthy and you are so powerful. And if I could have anything in my life looking back, I wish I just had more support to show me that I was worthy and powerful at that time. And I wish I didn't have to navigate so much of that newness on my own. But still, I wouldn't have it. No regrets. I'm so grateful for the experiences that I had. But health is owning who you are. It's owning those parts of yourself, and not just the parts that feel good, but even the parts that seem to sabotage you, seem to hold you back, seem to always mess things up, where you feel like you keep failing. That's a part of health, owning all the parts of you, because you can't accept certain parts and then reject other parts. You're one whole person with all these multiple aspects. Health is being seen in the world as you are and unapologetically claiming who you are. Not just that you're worthy and powerful, but everything that makes you unique, your spirit, your essence, your flavor, so to speak, your soul's unique combination of everything. Your authenticity is the most important thing. Being who you really are and expressing it, that is health. So in the 4-H method, I have several frameworks. The goal of health is not better looks, but better health. What is health? And why do we do all of this? It's so that you can express more of who you are and enjoy your life to the max. Health allows you to do that. Health is knowing that those beliefs that are harming you are wrong and you don't have to listen to them. It's knowing what your deepest values and desires and preferences are and living in alignment with that, because that is what's going to give you more energy and more life. It's being embodied in yourself. So many queer people have higher instances of eating disorders and body dysmorphia because we feel like something is fucking wrong with our body when nothing is wrong with your body. I know that my eating disorder was related to feeling like something was wrong with me. And I can see it now, but I didn't see it at the time. What does it mean to your own healing to be more of who you are and to choose the path of your authenticity and your aliveness? What does it mean to own your healing, to own yourself, to be your full self? And like I said, as you can hear from this story, it's not a one and done thing. It's not like just follow these workouts, follow this diet, and you're all good. It's a deep process of change that happens over time. So the 4-H method is not designed to be a quick fix place. It's not designed to just help you lose 20 pounds and then adios. It's a space that supports your long-term health and healing in a way that encourages you to be who you are and enjoy your life in the way that you want. And so I want to highlight, first of all, the lifetime membership option for 4-H method. It's so easy to say, I'm just going to dip my toes in. And I understand that. And there are options for changing and trying things out before you choose a lifetime membership. But so often we're just like dipping our feet and going in and out without fully committing. And often the changes come after you commit. If I had been like, I'm not sure if I'm queer, I'm not sure if I'm out, and of course that's a process, but if I were still on the fence, I wouldn't be enjoying the life that I live now. If I were trying to hide certain parts of myself to certain people, I would not be where I am now. And it's different for everyone, so no judgment with where you are in your story. But for me, that was that commitment, that coming out, like, this is who I am. It was so scary. It's so scary to commit to yourself. It's so scary to choose yourself. But once you commit and once you choose and you're like, this is it. This is what I want to do. I want to be in a place where my whole self is encouraged, where I'm continually discovering what health means to me and what it looks like for me and my body. And I want the support. I want the habits. I want the connection. I want the community. I want the coach. I want the materials. I want all of the things that can support this in my life. And you commit to it, one and done, change becomes so much easier because you're not spending that mental energy on, oh, do I want to do this? Do I not want to do this? Do I want to do this? Do I not want to do this? It's like, I've committed. I'm in it. So I want to encourage you. Number one, I'm really wanting to highlight this option of the lifetime membership. Over time, it makes the most financial sense. It's 5,100 something dollars for one-time access. And if you join the 4-H method, you know that there's so much in there where it's so worth the value of the money that you're spending. And if you want to do payment plans, you can always reach out to me if you want to choose that option, but you have to break it up a little bit. You can let me know. The second thing I want to highlight is that 10% of all my business revenue, no matter how much I make, 10% is going to the Trevor Project to help other queer youth. They have a suicide hotline and they do work to support LGBTQ plus youth. Homelessness is a big problem because of queer people being rejected by their family. And if you think that we're evolved and it's all over with, there's so much homophobia and rejection still happening. So where I was 12, 13 years ago, there's some little kid in that place right now who's fearing rejection from their family by coming out, or who has come out and has faced rejection and is in that hardship. So this is my way of giving back. And if you join the 4-H method during June, you also get to support that too. So you're already doing something good for your health by just investing, because you're paying it forward to others. I thank you for listening and hearing my story. And I really want to challenge you on the idea of change and it being a long process and an identity change that takes time, and committing and choosing yourself, choosing your healing, choosing your biggest expression of yourself in your health and your fitness. There's so many details on the 4-H method page about what's included and how it works. And if you have any questions, I'm an open book. But I just want to encourage you, commit, commit, commit. Come back home. Come back home to your body. Come back home to your health. Come back home to you, and be open to the process. Just like this coming out is a process and takes time, all the way from knowing before to ending up. I wouldn't have it any other way. I love you so much. Thank you so much for listening.